Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. Just a quick afternoon update for the latest Manchester United transfer news and two very interesting stories developing. One, Scott McTominay is not up for sale. Those are the words of Erik ten Hag. Do you believe him? And two, Bayern Munich have been talking about their desire to sell to buy and what that means for LIGT. So two big updates for you to get into. Let's start off with what Erik ten Hag has had to say. He said that on Scott McTominay, if you score 10 goals in a season and perform very well for Scotland, there will be interest. However, we actually want to keep him because he's a very important player for us. We've seen what he can contribute last season. So a lot of people saying, well, that means Scott McTominay's going to stay. There's two ways of looking at this, really. I mean, first of all, well, there's three ways. Personal opinion, of which we're all entitled to. Very well-liked player. No doubt about his attitude and work ethic and desire for the cause. That will never be in dispute. But as I've said over the years, if you want to be Man City, if you want to be, one of the best teams in the world, passion's not enough. Roy Keane put more work in than Scott McTominay, but he was a better player. Same with David Beckham, same with Wayne Rooney. So, people who talk about passion and commitment to the badge, they don't get it. That's not enough. You'll get that from your postman if he supports Man United. He'll be up early working hard, but he's not going to be good enough. So, yes, Scott McTominay works hard and he's well-liked. Absolutely, fantastic. And yes, in and around the box, he's capable of scoring a goal. But why keep a bench player that's got value? Why keep a bench player that's always going to be a bench player that's full profit? And why would a player that's always going to be a bench player at 26, 27 want to stay? It's just a bit, not odd, but I don't really get why Man United would want to do it, especially in a new world, which is about elite performance, consistency and results. Your bench players should be Jack Grealish. Your bench players should be Alvarez. Your bench players should be Akanji, like they are for Manchester City. Manchester City don't have players that aren't good enough to play in their first team on their bench. They have players that aren't in their first team because they're not performing that well at that moment in time, or he wants to change it tactically. And if we want to be a big team, we can't carry bench players. Bench players are first team players that don't get in the first team. That's what we need to build. And when I look at McTominay, he just doesn't fit the way that we want to play. He's not very good at picking up the runners. He's not particularly quick. He's not particularly good at passing. And he's not particularly good at tackling. I just don't see what he offers other than a last 20 minutes, or if there's a bit of an injury problem, you start him. And then it impacts the way we want to play. And as many of you've said, he goes missing in games as well. So I don't see this other than a bit of sentimentality. Let's keep him around because everyone likes him, and that might be a reason enough. That might be reason enough. On the other hand, maybe this is just a tactic to get people to put bids in, because there's two things to consider. Ten Hag will never sit there and say a player's up for sale when, why would he do that? He's valuing him. He's saying he scored 10 goals. He plays for Scotland. For me, that reads a little bit like he's reading his Wikipedia page. 10 goals in the last season, plays for Scotland. Good player. If people want him, they can pay the price. So he might be putting out messages there to the Fulhams and everybody else who's interested, and there are clubs that are interested, and he would be a good signing for them. Maybe he's putting signs out there, or maybe he's not going to go. But 1 year left on his contract. That means that we'll be giving him a new contract, and I don't see the point in it. Honestly, I don't see the point in it. I think that we want to progress as a team, and you can't just keep somebody because they're from the youth and they've got a good attitude. You've got to be good enough, and he's had years at this club as well. And when you look at someone like Collier coming through, well, I think Collier already looks better than McTominay to me in the way he passes the ball. So surely you've got a like-for-like replacement there from the youth. But we'll have to wait and see. What I will say is, and if you watch the United Stand, you'll know I've been saying this for a long time. I was told at the end of February, and I put it onto a show, and I've been mentioning it ever since, I was told at the end of February that McTominay, Bruno and Rashford would not be leaving this summer. Now, that was from somebody who's a very good source within the club, but I don't know who made the decision. I mean, it can't have been Ten Hag, really, because the club hadn't made a decision on Ten Hag at that point. So I don't know whether that's like Sir Jim, Brailsford, I don't know who that could be. I don't know, but that was the word coming out at the end of February, and it looks like that might still be the case. But I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens over the next few weeks. But get your comments in. What are your thoughts on that? Look, if we're Man City and we're winning the league, I ain't got a problem with keeping McTominay around. you know, good player to have around. Everybody likes him, works hard, gets the lads up in the dressing room, etc. Great. And I mean, like, gets them, you know, not. I mean, get them up in a bloody way you're thinking. I mean, gets them up for the game. Not like he's not flashing his. Anyway, none of that. But yeah, if you're Man City and winning the league, you can afford to keep someone around like that. But we're miles off. We can't afford cheerleaders or passion monsters. You know, buy a player that's passionate, who's actually good at football. And when you compare someone like LIGT, I mean, it's just not worth it. The amount of forward passes, the amount of tackles, the amount of duels he wins. Then you've got Mainu, you got Collier coming through, and you've got Bruno. I mean, I just don't see where McTominay fits in. I just don't see where he fits in. And also, does it get to the point where, you know, Ten Hag likes McTominay, so he wants to give him 20 minutes every game, and that 20 minutes is instead of a Mason Mount or a Jadon Sancho or an Ahmad or a Xerxes? So it becomes problematic in that way as well. And people don't think about this. Oh, it'd be nice to have him around, but if he's going to be kept around, he's going to get used. And if he's going to get used in games and he goes missing in games, it's going to damage us in games. If that option's not there, it's not there. Like, and also it will impact other players who, you know, Ten Hag might look around and go, I can trust McTominay, he's been here for years, you're going on for the last 20 minutes, instead of turning to a Mount or a Sancho or whoever. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Get your comments in below. Another bit of news from Bayern Munich. They've been talking, as they do in Germany. I'm a big fan of this, whether it's Dortmund, whether it's Bayern, the CEO, the director of football, the president. They all talk. They probably talk more than the manager, to be fair, about transfers, etc. So basically what they're saying is today, and I think I can probably read it direct as a quote from Plettigol, who's obviously based out there in Germany. And what he is saying is that it's possible that a defender, this is direct quote from, I think it's their former president, Uli Honel. I can't pronounce it, but he's still part of the board anyway. He said, it's possible that a defender will leave. De Ligt is Dutch. The coach at Manchester United is Dutch. I'd have no problem if he stays, though. Personally, I wouldn't sell Upamecano, and no defender is unsellable. But Dyer and Kim Min-jae are firmly part of our plans. He also went on to say that they need to sell before they buy. And at the moment, they've not had any agreeable offers for De Ligt, Kimmich, Coman, Gnabry, and a couple of other players as well. So Bayern Munich very publicly putting themselves in the sell to buy category, which a few Bayern Munich fans are a bit frustrated about. But look, ultimately this is good for Manchester United. I mean, I think Agate is the deal that we're working on, and I think it will be done by Wednesday. You know, I predicted that a couple of days ago. It was only a prediction, but everything you start to hear now sort of looks like it would be done by Wednesday. I know we fly out to the US tour on Wednesday, but that's got nothing to do with Agate. He won't be on the US tour. He's only had a week off since last weekend's third place game for Uruguay. So he's got another 2 weeks off. He would come back at the start of August when we come back from the tour. But I still think United will want to get that deal done. And I think with that deal done, it gives a kick up the arse of certain players in the midfield, I think, who will look at it and go, am I going to get any game time? So I think that's really important. But on De Ligt, it's encouraging that Bayern are speaking publicly about the need to sell to buy, because they do obviously want to bring Jonathan Tah in. There's a couple of other players they want to bring in, and they have got players they need to move on. Well, we're in advanced negotiations with Bayern Munich. The player wants to come to Manchester United. So, I mean, realistically, it's just about doing a deal that's agreeable for everybody. I'm not saying that it couldn't all fall apart, but I think there's very positive reasons to suggest that that deal will get done at some point over the next 2 weeks. But again, like Agate, De Ligt is, what, a week and a half into his holidays? I think they got knocked out on Wednesday night, a week and a half ago, on the Wednesday night against England in the semi-final. So he's a week and a half into his holidays. I mean, I can't believe it's only a week since the bloody Euros final. That's been a long week, hasn't it? But yeah, look, we can be a bit patient on that. It's very important we get him in, though, and I think De Ligt is the player that we do want at Manchester United, isn't there? So yeah, interesting developments. Get your comments in below. We are back tonight. I think we're 7 o'clock tonight for the Sunday night show, but I will double check on that. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. Get your thoughts in. What are your thoughts on McTominay staying or going, and what does it mean if we do keep him? And also with De Ligt, how confident are you of that happening? And do you think we need if we get De Ligt, this is a question for you. If we get De Ligt and we've got Martinez and we've got Yoro and we've got Evans, do you keep Maguire or Lindelof as a fifth choice? Would they be happy with that? Or do you want another centre-back to come in? Maybe a younger centre-back. I know we've got Yoro, but maybe a younger left-sided centre-back. That's what we were looking at with Branthwaite. I think that would be the ideal. In which case, where would you go for a reasonable price? Because I know Anacho's out there, but he's not going to be cheap and he's probably going to want to play games. So is there a left-footed young centre-back that we could bring in to sell Lindelof and Maguire? Get your comments in below. I'll speak to you on the next one. Take care. Smash a like. See you soon.